Like, if you think about this, it's the difference between, like, a lot of social media ads and outreach messages. They give you one opportunity to, like, land that client. Has AI made a generalist agency less of a pain in the ass? For sure. But still, like, why would you want even 50% pain in the ass? My way of saying, like, there are strategies to go after price. Now, whenever you present price is not actually a valuable metric in and of itself. What's up? What's up? Come on, Facebook. I believe in you. I believe. I do believe. There we go. All right. We're back. Hey, by the way, I just want to give a shout out to all of you, like, longtime listeners. This wouldn't be what it is without you. I noticed that a lot of you guys have told me you listen to these Q&As while you drive in the car. They're like a podcast for you, and they've helped clear a lot of things. I'm just super glad, to be honest, that 16 years of being in this game, that really my stuff could be useful for someone else. You know, it's a funny thing that when you're trying to build this business for yourself and you're starting out, you just feel like you're making all the mistakes and you don't know what you're doing. And you really don't, you have more questions than answers. I never imagined that this would be valuable to anyone else. And so that's my way of saying, like, I really appreciate you guys. It really means a lot that my life experience can be useful to someone else. And I just really love you guys. I really relate to you guys. Like, I have so much empathy for you guys and the things you go through because, you know, I am you. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to struggle in this business on more than, you know, a few occasions, and to struggle with it and to ultimately see the success of it and why it's worth it, and to shut up all the naysayers and all that. So let's get into the good stuff. I should mention, obligatory mention, we got a mastermind. We also have built a store. I actually never planned to sell courses originally, but you know, a lot of you guys have told me, like, it's just, they're immensely valuable, and you're not at the stage where you can invest in a mastermind or work with somebody one-on-one, but the courses help you fill in little pieces that you're stuck on. So that's, like, super cool. Anywho, let's get into the good stuff. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Oh, wait, that's not my line. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Fihn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. Still a little stuffed up over here, but life is good. Living in paradise. If I could just get some sleep from all these little monsters, I'd probably heal up a lot faster, but it is what it is. Devanch says, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, says, do you think email marketing is still relevant in the age of social media dominance? I'm going to tell you something, okay? Not only is email marketing still relevant, but it is more relevant in hidden ways than people realize. And what do I mean by that? When you go to a social media website, how do you sign up? With the email. And what happens every time there's some kind of interaction on the site, right? Depending on how you got your notifications, they send you an email. Email is still the thing that drives the internet. And I'll tell you the other piece that people don't realize. With email, it is the longest serving asset, because, like, if you're building a group of people that are paying attention to you, I'm actually starting this in the 90-day challenge in the restoration space. So I'm building myself up as a restoration authority, and getting, you know, restoration contractors and stuff to follow my stuff and pay attention. And anyways, the reason I say that is because, like, you want these people on your email list. Like, what happens if YouTube shuts some shit down, or Facebook goes out of business, or in my case, what I'm experiencing, like, Facebook is, like, limiting group reach, right? Like, I think we got a really fucking awesome group, and everything I say is, at least by me, pre-approved as fucking cool. And yet, Facebook stifles that reach. But if you have an email list, that's yours and you control it forever. So the single biggest long-term investment, I have a friend named Justin Brook who did the math on this. They've averaged over the years $4 per email sign up, and they have averaged meaning they pay $4 over the years using Facebook ads and other various tools to get someone to sign up for their list, and they average 32, count those, in sales per average email visitor per year. So like that's not like a one-time thing. Like those people sign up once, but you know, if they follow them over time, will buy stuff. Where in the fucking world can you invest $4 and get back $32 the same year and do that year after year after year after year? It's why the biggest quote-unquote gurus and the most successful people have email lists. We're actually going to be doing some stuff to expand the email list for that reason, because it just fucking works. So don't get caught up in all these tools and strategies and tactics. Dan Kennedy used to talk about this for years, especially in the beginning of the uprising of social media. He said, social media will convince people that there are new metrics to the game, that you can't measure dollars and return on ad spend and things like that, that you want to measure likes and comments. And I'm not saying likes and comments aren't useful, but I don't know about you guys. I can't pay my bills in likes and comments. I can't go to the electricity company and say, I got 32 shares, motherfucker. Can I pay my electricity bill with that? And so a lot of what social media has done is it's made people lose sight of the important thing. And I've seen this where Ilka was just doing an interview with a guy, and I think he's got like 200,000 followers on Instagram or something like that. And he doesn't make dick fuck all from it, right? Because he's in the wrong metric game. It's like they're not actually like, you know, building a real asset towards something they have for sale. Exactly. Matt Coffey's been around the game. He knows that, like, you know, I'm not saying likes and comments and things like that are not valuable, but like to your original question, Devanch, like, yes, building an email list is fucking useful, and it's the only thing that you personally control for the long term. And so, like, I wish I had known this sooner, but man, like, you cannot build an email list soon enough, in my personal opinion. And the other thing too is it like, if you think about this, it's the difference between, like, a lot of social media ads and outreach messages, they give you one opportunity to, like, land that client. And some of you guys are really fucking good at converting people in that one thing. So, like, I'm not poo-pooing that, but if you get somebody on an email list, you might get, like, over the course of 3 or 4 years, you might get that same message in front of them 300-400 times. Like, who do you think is going to have more success selling their thing? The person who gets seen 300 or 400 times, or the person who gets seen once, right? So even if you're really good at converting one-time traffic, what happens is the biggest obstacle to high-ticket sales is trust. There's a really good book on it, by the way, called The Speed of Trust by Stephen R. Covey. That's the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. That's his kid, Stephen R. Covey, who also has an awesome book called Speed of Trust. And it talks about this, that, like, the biggest thing that stands in the way of what you're trying to do is really just trust. And if you can kind of, like, build that trust faster through things like email lists. And the way I think about building trust is giving before you receive. Frank Kern called this results in advance. And so he used an example, like they had a dating course launch, and they said, most guys were just either trying to get laid or get a long-term girlfriend, right? Like that, they had one of 2 goals: get laid or get a girlfriend. And he said he had to break it down in terms of steps. And what he realized is most guys didn't know how to start a conversation. And then once they started, they didn't know what to say. And then once they said that, they didn't know how to ask for a date. And then they didn't know how to, like, text and actually get a date. And then they didn't even know where to have dates and, you know, what to talk about on that date. And so all he did was, like, create emails about those things in the order that they face those challenges. Here's how to start a conversation here. And he shared some of the value of what he was selling, almost like Costco gives away free samples before you got in the course. And they sold, like, you know, I don't know, like $21 million worth of dating course materials. And it's all based on the fact that email gives you the ability to build trust over time. And that's the biggest thing that stands in the way of making those sales. So yes, email, use it. It's probably the most underutilized thing, because most marketers are looking for a quick fix, not a long-term fix. But if you look at the long-term fix, email's the answer to all of that. Booze, our man, says, hey, Frankie Fihn, I'm reading your book, and in page 20 you said 5 to 10 custom clients will often take you 40 to 80 hours a week of work. Do you still believe that post AI? To give you guys some context just for the question, for those of you guys who haven't read that part of the book. So the idea is that I compare running a generalist agency to, like, a restaurant that serves different food every day. So imagine you go to the restaurant and they say, you go to a restaurant, you say, on Monday, do you make pizza? And they say, sure, we'll make a pizza. And so they get a wood fire oven, and they have to find the right kind of flour, and they have to source all the ingredients, and they make you a pizza. And then on Tuesday you say, do you guys make Chinese food? And then they got to figure out where to buy egg roll wrappers, and they go to the Asian market and get the specialty ingredient, and they got to get the soy sauce. And then on Wednesday they say, do you do catering? And they have to figure it out all brand new. That's what running a generalist agency is like. So every day you're doing something different. On Fridays, but on a specialist agency is like running a McDonald's. When McDonald's first scaled, by the way, like it's different than how you know McDonald's to be now. All they sold were hamburgers. That was it. And you could customize a hamburger, like you could get extra pickles or cheese or whatever, but they only sold burgers. So like basically the burger was done before you ordered it. Like if they needed to modify it, they could. Like, sure, we'll give you a squirt of extra ketchup. It adds 10 seconds to the process. And that's the secret. Is they're 90% finished before you started. So has AI made those 40 to 80 hours more like 20 to 60 hours? Probably. But having said that, I still think it's a smarter play to have one market, one solution, one thing that you deliver over and over and over and over and over that you can scale up and do over and over, that like is like a burger where it's pretty much done before the client even orders it. If you do that, what you'll find is like it's a lot easier to deliver. So has AI made a generalist agency less of a pain in the ass? For sure. But still, like, why would you want even 50% pain in the ass when you can have like 100% easier? It blew my mind, but I cannot fucking emphasize this point enough. If you have a specialist agency where you do one thing over and over and over versus having a generalist agency where you do a little bit, you will work 10 times as fucking hard in the generalist agency, often for like 10-20% of the money. So my first agency, like we mostly did SEO for plastic surgeons, but I didn't turn away anyone as long as they had a credit card. Like that was how generalist we were. So somebody said like, you know how to do Google ads? Sure. Can you make a website? Sure. Can you do a landing page? Sure. Do you do video editing? Of course we do video editing. And I did a little bit of everything. About 75% of it was specialized and 25% of it was all over the place. And I constantly would like waste energy and time trying to find people like video editors and things like that. And I remember in our second agency, we were one of the first people to run Facebook ads for personal injury attorneys. And I remember when I would figure something out for one attorney, in the beginning we had about like 20 clients, I would figure out, like I would be able to copy and paste the same thing to 19 other accounts. And so I was really only solving one problem 20 ways. And so it allowed me to like still use my creativity and problem solving, but it was so much more leverage, and it's because we're just making burgers, so you could do way more. So do I believe that you should, I'm not against generalist agencies, but I'm just telling you guys, if you do it, you'll work too fucking hard. So unless you like working really hard for a small amount of money, don't do it. Paul says, do you guys recommend starting with a niche or starting with businesses from your area as a beginner? I've been trying a niche, but it might be too small or hard for a beginner. Plus, client wants nationwide exclusivity. It kind of like, this is the thing that throws the most people off, is when I tell people there are no have-tos in this game, right? Like it's your business, you get to invent the rules, and you get to decide who you're for and who you're not for. If I was starting over and the easiest way to kind of get started was with local clients, I would probably do that, but with an asterisk on it that would not be my long-term strategy. It would just be to figure some things out. And inevitably what happens is you'll figure it out for one type of client that it'll just work better for than everyone else. Or sometimes it's like 2 or 3 clients. And then what I think about is, how do I clone that one client? Let's just say you run ads for an accountant, you get a plumber, you get a cleaning company, you get a dentist, and for whatever reason, like the cleaning company just fucking rocks it and they're really happy with you. Like I would then turn that cleaning company thing into a system and then become the specialist in the cleaning company, and you have at least one case study and one proof of result. And for you, the difference is you'll have certainty when you show up to the next cleaning company because you'll have already done it. So I don't think it's a bad idea to learn a little bit locally. But also understand, like usually, like if you just meet local guys at business meetings and stuff like that, for the most part, they're not the big players in the market. So like $500 to $1,000 a month will be a stretch for them, and they'll probably nickel and dime you a lot. But it's a good way to get practice reps in on somebody else's dime. Because I find, you know, if you got 10 accounts and you got enough play ad money to figure it out, like you'll eventually like solve the problems, and then you'll create something that's useful to other people. But just have realistic expectations, because I'm going to tell you, like a lot of those local businesses will fail, and not because you're a bad agency, but just because like they're small time for a reason, right? Like I like to add the caveat, like our job is to help winners win more. When I say winners, I don't mean in the game of life. There are lots of people who are winners in the game of life, but I mean specifically people who are winning at the game of business to win more, right? The game is not to take little small time businesses that are struggling and save them. That's the game I used to think that we were playing, but it's actually to take businesses that are already fucking crushing it and just help them crush it more. It's so simple and so counterintuitive, but it just fucking works. I thought I just saw a comment by Jeremy and it just disappeared, so sorry, brother. Cannot reply because it's not showing up on my end. Sometimes I see the comments after Facebook Live like filters comments, and then after when it posts the replay, after it like compiles it or whatever it does on their end, server side, then it all works. Andrew says, for those of you guys that offer Go High Level as part of your packages, what are you doing besides offering a CRM and setup? What other value do you bring to the table with Go High Level? Oh, okay. See, Jeremy's at the gym. My man, crushing it. Fucking getting in shape, making the rest of our dad bods look bad. So with Go High Level, so Go High Level is just a tool. I consider Go High Level to be like Lego. What is Lego? Lego's whatever the fuck you want to build with Lego, right? So let me tell you what I think the smartest and best use to like actually add value to clients is to do the opposite of what everyone else does. So if you talk to any business in the world, this is what they'll tell you they need. I need more new people. And usually in almost every business, that's bullshit because they're dropping balls so many places along the journey. And so like I'll see this in personal injury where they'll spend all this money on TV and radio and billboards, and they'll do all this work to raise brand awareness so that somebody goes to their website, and then they'll putz around their website and they'll read reviews and testimonials and all that and about the lawyer, and then they'll pick up the phone and call, and then they don't fucking answer the phone. So the actual biggest thing you can do for them is not put more leads into the pipeline, is help them with the leads they're already fucking losing along the way. So the way I think about this, if you think about a football field, like an American football field, where it's 100 yards long, and the goal is to take the ball from one side and drive it down 10 yards at a time to the other team's end zone. There's a thing in there, for those of you guys who aren't football fans, they call the red zone. And the red zone is the last 20 yards of the field when you start getting really close to pay dirt. I think the most valuable thing you can do with Go High Level to add value to clients is to help them fix their red zone opportunities. Missed call text back, following up with leads. Someone fills out a form. What happens? Usually nothing, right? Like testimonials, follow-ups. Just a text message say somebody will be in touch with you in the next like little bit. Or calendar options. Can the client just schedule themselves? Like we're experimenting with that in niches where it's just phoneless booking. Like why try and generate a phone call for a dentist who's going to screw it up when you can just put the pricing on the page and a calendar and let the person self-book, right? Like why do they have to talk? So those are things I think you do with Go High Level. The last 5-10 yards in the field when they're close to pay dirt. I'll give you an example. As some of you guys have seen the interview, Mark Diodati, when he first started, what he was doing was like he was in HVAC and trying to generate more new business because that's what they said they all need. And here's what happens in HVAC when they're trying to get installs is they run some Facebook ads, and if they're lucky, they get 100, 200 people a month to say, hey, I'm interested in your service. Can you call me? And then what ends up happening is they might check out reviews, and then a salesperson drives out there. And of those deals, 7 out of 10 of them, 7 out of 10, fall apart. And meaning like 3 out of 10 they close, and for different reasons. And so one of the things like Mark started doing is just adding in follow-up with the 7, right? Like that's a red zone opportunity. That's 5 yards from the end zone. They actually called somebody, they came out, they spoke with them an hour. Like it might just be a price issue, right? So calling them back or texting them back and seeing if there's a way they can win the business. Those are the biggest opportunities with Go High Level, in my opinion, is the stuff 5-10 yards from the end zone where you can do. A lot of you guys are using it for database reactivation. That's a perfect example. Database reactivation. Let's work with the stuff that's 5-10 yards from the hole, past clients. Jeremy says also use your any client anytime framework and landed a client conversation with cold outreach. My man, it's pretty amazing, right? Like it's I always say like just slowing down for 30 seconds and like personalizing messages a bit, which is part of the framework. Like that alone will change how you're perceived. Like I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I can feel when somebody just copies and pastes some shit to me, and when it's like automatic copy and paste, and I know it's just like same message they blasted to 1,000 people. I don't feel the need to respond. But I'll tell you, I get emails every week in my inbox that say, "Hey, I just read your book," and dot dot dot, and those get responded to 100% of the time. Why? Because they're writing to me, not to anyone else, right? So it's not because I have such a big ego about my book. I really don't. It's more just like they've taken the time to actually write me. Like, I almost feel like I should respond to them. And what most people do is try and like cover that all up with software and stuff. And once you learn to like be able to open with people, it's a real magic, because I always say like you end up with endless opportunities. I compare it to cheesing dating analogies, but let's pretend there's a guy who's a closer, and he can, like, if he gets a girl into on a date, they're gonna sleep together. But if he's not good at opening, he might only get fucking two dates a year, right? And yeah, he might go 2 for 2, but like he's probably a lonely guy using his hand a lot of nights. There's a guy who's just naturally good at opening, and even if he's not a good closer and he fumbles and bumbles, he might talk to 1,000 girls a year, like 3 a day for a year, and he might have 1,000 opportunities to screw up. So that's the magic of being able to open, is like you literally have endless opportunities to do business. And I like to use opening most valuably, just candidly, to like open with influencers and people who have like already set audiences. Paul says, great fucking book too, my man. I appreciate that. I'm glad. You know, it's funny when you write a book, there's always like the author thought like, it sucks. Who's gonna want to read this piece of shit? So like every author I know at least had that thought, at least more than a couple of times. And I remember thinking like, if this just helps one person out there in a similar situation to me, it's worth it. So I put that book out there, and it's amazing to me that like there's been more than one person. But like the goal was, like, a lot of people tell me like, I want to become a best-selling author. I was just like, there's just one guy out there sleeping on his girlfriend's couch trying to figure out this agency game, and I can make their life easier. That would be worth it. So I'm really glad that you got some value out of that, my man. Allison says, has anyone used a pay-for-performance model successfully? Yes. And I'll tell you 2 ways to do that successfully. One, it's pay-per-lead. A friend of ours who's in the group, Dan Wardrope, he's the godfather of pay-per-lead. They got a whole community dedicated to pay-per-lead. Having said that, pay-per-lead is actually my least favorite way to do it. Why? One, it's cold traffic, so it's really hard to convert at scale, and like cold traffic can be difficult. And then there's also a trust factor, because you have to hope they open up their books. It can work with the right clients. Like we have people inside the mastermind, like Ben comes to mind, who's, you know, he's doing like $20,000 a month with one client doing pay-per-lead and solar. Like those kind of deals happen, right? But having said that, my favorite way to do pay for performance is to pitch people who basically have more money than time and have a lot of products or courses or services they offer, and simply offer to sell more of those to their existing audience as a revenue share deal. We're doing a couple of these in our agency right now. I kind of play with them. I've been playing with them a little bit for the last year, and it's amazing to me that you can send out like 3-4 emails and like make $10,000-$20,000 in a matter of hours, and it's like, it's fucking easy because you're selling their stuff to their audience using their tools and their resources. And a lot of times people think, why would somebody pay you to do that? And there's a couple of reasons. Reason number one is they just don't think to do it. Like a lot of times people think, I already offered my thing to my audience, why would they want more? And thing number two is they're just busy, right? Like I actually just pitched Jay Abraham on one of these. So a lot of you guys know the marketing legend Jay Abraham, who's Tony Robbins' mentor, and Damon John's mentor, the guy from Shark Tank. And they've done, like, Jay Abraham's credited with like tens of billions of dollars of business improvements, like all documented, like as a result of his teachings and things like that. So why would Jay Abraham like want to work with me and do that? And the answer is really, really simple. It's like, I just make it easier on them. Like they're too busy, like dealing, like Jay spends all his day speaking and on stages and doing like live webinars and trainings and things like that and sharing his brain. Like he knows he's got 40 courses that he could sell, but he's too busy. So I'm like, hey, let me just be the guy who sells your courses on the back end to your audience, and I'll create these little promos, and we'll just, you know, split some of the proceeds, and it's all extra money and there's no delivery for you. What do you think? So that's my favorite way to do pay performance revenue share. If you guys are interested in that, we have a link inside the store for how we do revenue share deals. I'm not saying it's the only way, but man, it's like, it's worked well for us. It's worked well for a lot of people. So I don't think you have to reinvent the wheel on that, but feel free to check it out, see if it's for you. And that's all I will say about that. Louise. Hey everyone, new agency startup here. How do you justify a price increase for one of your clients? Context, I lowballed myself to get one of my first SEO clients in the dumpster rental space months ago for a monthly retainer of $500 a month. We agreed at the chance to revisit a price increase after getting him good results. He was originally using Google Ads to drive calls, but the CPC was rather high and weren't converting on his wonky Wix website. He was wasting $2,400 on Google Ads every month. Now SEO drives more calls and convert higher than Google Ads at a fifth of the price. I suggested he move to WordPress or Webflow to get better SEO performance. We migrated his website to Webflow, overhauled its on-page content, and built some citations and optimized his GPB to give him a bunch needed boost in rankings and calls. I do the work myself, but the tools for reporting and market research are getting more expensive. I feel like I'm undercharging for my services since the average ticket size is around $350 to $500 per rental, and SEO brings in 2 rentals that more than covers the cost. I brought the price increase up to him a month ago, but he said he's been going through a rough time and had to spend a lot of money as the business adopted a new dispatching software, brought new trucks, and hired a new employee, and one of his dumpsters got stolen and lit on fire. The price increase wasn't anything outrageous, a $250 increase up to $750. I'm not sure how to approach this. As I'm barely starting out, I would greatly appreciate any feedback. Lewis, so this is a thing, by the way. This is why I was talking earlier about the difference between a generalist and a specialist agency. One of the things that never happens in a generalist agency is every time you do a task in a generalist agency, you're not really sure like 100% your shit is going to work. I mean, you hope so and you believe so, and you come into it with like a good plan and good intentions, but it doesn't always fucking work out that way in the real world. Like, obviously you try your best to help everybody, but sometimes like when you get in the trenches, it doesn't always like work like you think it will. And so part of the benefit of having a specialist agency is that each time you deliver the same service, each time you deliver the same hamburger, your confidence and certainty goes up. And so just so you guys know, like my first SEO client, I charged $400 a month. It was also undercharging. And the client told me they actually made millions off what I did. And then I realized like, dude, you're not even charging $5K a year, and they made like $3 million off your shit, right? It was like in a major US city, I got him like, 1 to 3 for all of his top keywords, and he was just like raking in the business from it. And so this is my way of saying like there are strategies to go after price. Now, whenever you present price is not actually a valuable metric in and of itself. And what I mean by that is, like, imagine I said to you, there is a car for sale and it is $5,000. Well, are you going to buy that car or not? And the truth is, doesn't it depend a lot on what kind of car you're getting, right? Like if I say, hey, my wife just cheated on me, and because of it, I'm selling her brand new Ferrari for $5,000 to the first person who gets here, like, and pretend it's like legitimate, like get the fuck over there and find $5,000 and buy that damn car, because that's, a $400,000 car or whatever, right? If I said, well, I got an old 1972 Hyundai and the glass is broken and the car doesn't run and it's a piece of shit, that's a ripoff. So money is always contextualized by what you get for it. So whenever you need to bring up money and you want to have more certainty about that money conversation, remind that motherfucker about all the wins you've done, and do it just like in a nice way. We've managed to accomplish this, we did that, blah, blah, blah. And we talked about this before. What I'm asking for is an increase. The more you believe it, the more they will believe it. It's amazing to me. We got people in this group, by the way, that's charged $20,000 per month for SEO and get it. And don't just have like 1 or 2 clients, have like, 50 clients paying them $20K a month. And part of how they do it is they fucking believe it, and they look people in the face and they say, it's $20K a month, and they don't fucking bat an eye about it, right? So like price is one of those things, like if you feel uncomfortable asking for $250, they'll pick up on it. And it's way more an internal thing. And the other thing is, like, be okay with walking away, because even if like this deal fell apart, like you're not making any money on it now anyway, it's hard for you to deliver. But if you can then go through and actually like put together a case study on it, you'll be able to sign like, dozens of other junk removal companies. So don't be afraid of like losing that deal, but like find your certainty. And sometimes it helps to like practice and rehearse. But the more you believe it, the more they'll believe it. Like Like, you have real documented value you've brought into the table in terms of the website change, in terms of the phone calls, in terms of the reduced costs, in terms of the leads. Having said that, it may be a real constraint that when businesses level up, there's almost always costs. And like, we were actually just going through this for a period where our business is taking in more money, but me, the owner, ain't getting dick fuck all, because more staff, more tools, more software, more systems, more infrastructure. And so all the extra money was just going to those things. So that does happen sometimes in business. So it may be a real constraint, but like, view it as a collaboration of like, okay, well, for this to work for me long term, I need to be at least here. And I totally get you're going through this. How do we make it work? And get on the same side of the table as them and say like your number with certainty and believe it. And you'll be amazed. They will collaborate. They will cooperate. It's like, you believe it, they believe it. And then like, don't make it a negotiation standoff. Make it as like, I need this to work for both of us long term, and the only way to do that, to afford my tools and my team and actually service you, is the number got to be here. That's just how it is. So that, I hope that's helpful, Luis, my man. Looks like that's all the questions, which is actually good because I got a duck for a little bit here. I got a new mastermind guy we're talking to in another minute. I guess that's all I got for you guys, other than I want to say, like, if you guys are interested, you can check out the courses, which I put a link to, and that's especially useful for those of you guys who are just like, you know, want to solve like one specific problem in your agency, but don't necessarily have the ability to invest big, or maybe even don't want to right now. Like, you know, I know some of you guys said, I'm already in 2 masterminds already, or I'm in a coaching program, whatever. I'm going to this event. Keep it simple and easy. So that's all I got for you guys. Happy Monday. Much love. Appreciate you guys. And may the force be with you. Hey guys, if you like this video, you'll probably also like our free Facebook group, Beyond Agency Profits, Agency Lifestyle Design. You can get free copies of the book inside here. I look ridiculous. We're doing weekly Q&As, giving answers to all your questions. Some of the best, smartest, brightest people. We've got lots of industry leaders doing 7, 8 figures and beyond. It's a literal who's who of the brightest agency owners that I know, as well as lots of tips on scaling and stuff, books that work. So if you're not already part of it, you're going to want to be part of it. So make sure to click the link. I put it in the description of the video, as well as in the pinned top comment below. So just scroll down and you can join, and it's totally free.